So I'm Dr. Lutz Mary, Associate Professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. I'm going to take the topic effort and cost estimation techniques for the subject software project management. So effort and cost estimation technique. Step 1. Determine the type of count. There are three types of function point counts. Development function point count, application function point count, enhancement function point count. Development function point count can be counted at all phases of a development project from requirement to implementation stage. This type of count is associated with new development work and may include the prototypes, which may have been a temporary solution which supports the conversion effort. This type of count is called baseline function point. So application function point. So application counts are calculated at the every function point delivered and exclude any conversion effort. Enhancement function point. So when changes are made to software after production, they are considered as enhancement. To size such enhancement project, each the function point count gets added, changed or deleted in the application. Step 2. Determine the boundary of the count. The boundary indicates the border between the application being measured and the external applications or the user domain. To determine the boundary, understand the purpose of the function point count, scope of the application being measured, how and which application maintains what data, the business areas that support the application. Step 3. Identify each elementary process required by the user. So composed or decompose the function user requirements into smallest unit of activity which satisfy all of the following criteria. It is meaningful to the user, constitutes a complete transaction, is a self-defined. Step 4. Determine the unique elementary process. So compared to the elementary process already defined, so there will be, if they are require the same set of DETs, same set of FTRs. So EP is a elementary process. Do not split an elementary process with multiple forms of processing logic into multiple EPs. Step 5. Measure data function. Classify each data function as ILF or EIF. ILF is an internal logic file. It is maintained by the application being measured. EIF is an external interface file. If it is referenced, it's not maintained by the application. So only the internal logic file is maintained. So the following documents: objectives and constraints for the proposed system, documentation regarding the current system, documentation of the user's perceived objectives, data model. So then count the RETs for each data function. The data element and the RET is given in the diagram. So measure the function size of each data function, so low, average and high. Measure transactional functions. Classify each transaction function, and the external input is elementary process that process data or control information that comes from outside the boundary. So there are three statements for identifying the external process. So processing logic is unique from processing logic performed by either EI for the application. ILF or EIFs are referenced or different from the file referenced by the EIs in the application. External output is an elementary process that sends data or control information outside the application boundary. So the processing logic must contain at least one mathematical formula or calculation, create derived data, maintain one or more ILFs. And the following must be applied: send data or control information external to the application boundary. So external inquiry is an elementary process that sends data or control information outside the boundary. Then step 6.2, count the DETs for each transactional function. So apply the rules, review everything that crosses, count the DETs for each unique user identifiable. Then count only the DETs per transactional function. Count only the DETs for a transactional function that has the ability to initiate action. Do not count the following DETs. Literals and attributes you should not consider. Application generated stamps, date and time attributes you should not consider. Paging variables, navigation aids, these are the things you should consider. So do not count the things include literals, application generated, paging variables, navigation aids. Supply the following rules to count. Count a FTR for each ILF or EAF regarding the processing of EP.